Hello, Reds, a brand new show. Made up to be here. It's a brand new show from This is Anfield and us from The Late Challenge. Me, Gareth Roberts, him, Paul Coe. We're going to be talking about the Reds every week at 5 live on a Monday. And we're going to start now with Bournemouth, but we want to get you in the comments. There's already some in there. We've already been laughing off air at some of those. We're going to try and keep it legal and things like that. So, you know, just watch that for us, will you, right? But yeah, let's kick off with the talking points from the first game of the season at Anfield. It was fantastic to be back. Fantastic to see the familiar faces and all of those kind of things. And then the game started. And Liverpool were just all over the show first few minutes, it's fair to say. We've got all kinds of controversy, obviously, around the red card. And we've also got some worries, I would say, about sort of, are we going to sign some more players? Are we going to sort this out at the back? Is this system right? And all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to start with like a bit of a positive, really, because if you go all the way back to last season didn't start well. Very quickly unravelled. We ended up losing 14 across the course of the season in all comps. What I liked about Saturday, to focus on a positive first of all, was the collective determination to get this result. So, you know, the ball is in the back of the net after 30 seconds. It's in the back of the net again on 3 minutes, and that time it counted. Then the keeper is off out on his travels, picking up a yellow card. You know, it could have gone very wrong very fast, but Liverpool did find a way through it, got through the red card as well. And you had sort of, you know, I loved the Harvey Elliott cameo where he comes on and he's chasing absolutely everyone down. Szoboszlai, everyone is absolutely buzzing with him. He looks fantastic. Yeah. Even Endo, who we'll come on to talk about, he was there chasing everyone, you know, up for it. And so, you know, I like that there was that collective spirit. And okay, we can go only Bournemouth and things like that, but there was a good spirit about the win, without it being perfect, I think, is a way to sum it up.
Well, something to throw into that mix as well, I wanted to ask you about, because the interesting thing for us talking about stuff this season is, I think mainly you'll be at the game and I'll be watching at home, so you get the two different perspectives. And so it sounded to me from home that the crowd was in on that as well. Do you know, it sounded very much like
crowd was good.
We want to get this done. Yeah. Like we can't have because we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, like there was a risk of this season, the wheels coming off from the start. And I think a draw away to Chelsea, despite all the stuff around it, and a win at home to Bournemouth with the dodgy start we had, that just puts that to bed for me, I think. Like, even if you get beat by Newcastle next week, you've picked up 4 points. As Klopp said after the game, it's just an okay start. That's all right. But I think this season, just an okay start is fine. Like, I don't think any of us are going into it thinking we're challenging City, which takes the pressure off. Like, I didn't even, they've won 2 out of 2. A few seasons ago, I'd already be going, we're 2 points behind them. That hasn't even crossed my mind until this conversation. I'm not arsed. Like, we don't have to do the whole, we have to win every week. So 4 points from 2 games is great. And all of those positives you said, including, I think the Szoboszlai thing is really important, you know, because to have a new lad that you leave that game absolutely buzzing about. Like, I as I was watching it, I think it was when, I always think this is funny during like footy matches, the moment when you're like, he's man of the match. Like, it was the one where he just burned down the right wing took on 2 lads. And you just felt everyone sort of go, he's been bossing today, hasn't he? Like, in everything he's done. And even Klopp saying after the game, like, we had to hold him back. And, you know, he just everyone looks, at this stage of the season, I think we all expect players to come in fully firing. When the coaches all sort of talk about the first few games is still part of pre-season. So to have a lad like him who's just like, nah, I'm just going to smash this from the start. And he seems to have everything. And I loved Jordan Henderson, absolutely loved him. Like, I was one of the fellas who defended him in pub arguments and arguing with my uncles and all of that. Loved him. And he looks like he's a massive upgrade on Henderson in that 100%,
position. Yeah. I mean, you're right to say that. It seems like there's loads more to come, and then he's performing anyway. In the fair, he was good against Chelsea as well, I thought. He's hitting top rank for a load of the stats and things like that. Successful passes, he was first. Passing accuracy, 93%, second on the pitch. Dribbles completed, he was first. Progressive carries, we've talked about that before.
I was thinking about you when I saw that the weekend. I was thinking about you. They were talking about that.
Progressive massive carries has made it to the telly now, hasn't it?
I'm waiting for OBV to get it there.
So, but yeah, I mean, Klopp did talk about sort of holding them back. I think that was more what he meant by that, I think, was the fact that he was literally everywhere. Yeah. So he, Klopp wanted us to take the result at one point. Do you know what I mean? That's why Endo gets on the pitch and all the rest of it. And Szoboszlai was still off trying to sort of, be a superstar and get all over the pitch. There is a thing that's come out about him that he is almost like the new Milner in terms of smashing all the bleep tests and all that kind of stuff. Apparently he's been doing all that behind the scenes. The other thing I'd say about him as well is he's only 22. So, he's got so much in his locker already by the looks of things. He's new to Liverpool. It isn't he talked about Endo, didn't he, Klopp, and said it was a horrible time for him to come in. It's sort of a bit of a horrible time for anyone to come in. So you've got this back four playing together, or back five playing together, that know each other, that have played loads of games together, and yet as a unit look shaky probably because of the Trent stepping into midfield thing and all the rest of it. The uncertainty of other players that you're being used to having in front of you all these years disappearing and that kind of thing. So Szoboszlai stepping into this as a new player, a new country, new house, all of these things. And he's hitting top level already. And it does feel like there's more to come. There's been moments in both games so far where I've thought you should have shot there. You could have gone yourself there. And I think as his confidence continues to go up, as he gets used to his teammates, used to the system, we'll see good goals for him. He can hit the ball. He's getting himself on some of the set pieces and things like that. So there's more to come. Like, we're buzzing over what we saw at the weekend. We're going to get more from him as well, aren't we? Yeah,
100%. I know this sounds like a mad thing to say, but there was one where he had a shot blocked on the edge of the box, and it was just his body shape when he hit it. Do you know when someone strikes a ball? Do you know Trent strikes a ball the way Gerrard used to strike a ball? And it's just really clean, and there's just something special about their technique. He looks like he's got that. Like, something I noticed as well, it's mad this. People used to bang on about this to me when I was a kid playing footy. Like, he can use both feet. It's mad that's still... honestly, like, if I was coaching in any, like, elite level football club, I'd be like, lads, you should be able to kick with both feet. Like, I don't mind that one is slightly better than the other, but you just get paid. I know me and you have defended footballers over the years, haven't we, about the whole, you get paid so much money. But if you get paid that much money, you should be able to kick with both feet. It shouldn't be a special thing, but it still is a special thing, and he can. Like, he played a pass out to the right wing at one point for either for Mo or Trent, but he pinged it with his left foot as if, like, it didn't matter to him. Do you know what I mean? It didn't matter which foot he was in with.
The balance isn't right at the moment either. Do you know what I mean? McAllister playing in this, like, deep role, and I didn't think that suited him. We'll come on to the red card and all that kind of stuff, but I thought at times, he's only a slight fella, isn't he, basically? And you want him further forward, contributing to that. He's a great passer of the ball. He's someone who can chip in with the odd goal himself and things like that. He didn't expect to come to Liverpool and be in the trenches, and yet here he is. So, again, there'll be better from him as well. Liverpool are now appealing against that red card that's come out this afternoon. Rightly so. I mean, it's such a bad decision. At the time in the ground, I'm in the Kop and I looked at it and I thought, I've seen nothing there. I was as shocked as the player was when you seen the red go up. And then, I've got home after the pub and all that kind of stuff, watched it online, watched it on Match of the Day, seen it multiple times over the weekend. I still don't know where we're looking at something that is remotely a red card.
Right, so I'll give you a different perspective on this, and that's why it's interesting you saying that's what it looked like in the ground. I'm watching it on telly, and my first reaction when it happened, because on telly the commentators didn't say anything right. So, but as soon as it happened, I did one of them. Ooh,
it's 50-50.
Yeah, but it's because at full speed, when you're just watching the game, I thought he caught him just below the knee. So I can understand why a ref in a full speed thinks that's a terrible tackle. Now, the thing I don't get when you've got VAR, and this is something that annoys me about the whole setup, if I'm that ref, I just say to the fella on VAR, I think that was high, but I'm not going to brandish a red card yet. Can you just have another look? Why don't they just do that first?
Well, I don't mind if it's the other way around. Just get it right. Get it right somewhere along the way, and they haven't got it right somewhere along the way.
Yeah,
what I don't get about this, and I've got a rant in me on this, and I've been thinking about this all weekend, is I'm so bored and pissed off with VAR now. It absolutely does my head, and it's baffling how they're going about it. And they wrap it round in this rhetoric about we're not re-refereeing. Well, why aren't you? What's the point? If you've got fellas sitting there watching 1,000,001 replays, re-referee and get the right result. So sack off this clear and obvious error nonsense and just get the decision right. And then I seen today, I was watching, I was wondering, because there's a lot of talk about will they appeal? They might not appeal because they might not get, blah, blah, blah. And the appeal is judged on clear and obvious as well. So just put clear and obvious in the bin. Never mention it again. And instead say, what we're going to use VAR is getting things right. Like, how can the keeper run out, clothesline a player in the Man United Wolves game and it not be overruled by VAR? And again, it's this clear and obvious error. Bollocks. Get rid of that. Forget that. Stop going in front, Howard Webb, stop going in front of cameras saying we're not going to re-referee. Re-referee. No, I'm a footy fan paying a load of money to watch Liverpool. I want you to get the decision right.
So this is my point, because I'm with you, right? And our mate Steve Warnock was saying this on Sky this morning. Exact same thing you're just saying. And I think most footy fans would say the same thing about the clear and obvious mistake. But this is my thing. Why are we even why do we need to use the phrase re-referee? We don't need to. Why don't we just treat like it's 2023? Why don't we treat all of the refs, including VAR, as the referees? So like, let's say, forget VAR existed. The referee would check in with his linesman on things, wouldn't he? Before he made a decision, he would say to the linesman, you had a better view of that than me. What do you think it was? And the linesman would say, I think it was a red because of this, this, and this, or it wasn't. And the ref would then use that extra information to make a decision. That wasn't being re-refereed by the linesman. That was being refereed with the assistance of his assistant. So why don't we just use VAR as the assistant? Why doesn't he just go, I'm not going to show, because we don't have to worry about clear and obvious errors or overturning the whole ego thing. We don't have to worry about that at all. If he just keeps his cards in his pockets till he's checked it. Like, why does he need to brandish a card so quickly? Why can't he just wait?
But they don't want to roll back, probably because of ego around the system they've got. And they've got the little, the telly from Asda that they roll out onto the pitch and they have a look at it. But the referee on Saturday doesn't go to that either. Well, why doesn't he go to that? Because it's a contentious decision. Yeah. It's a decision that, on reflection, he's clearly got wrong. And yet, you like this is the other thing as well. I think if you're Howard Webb, and you're looking at how referees are talked about in the media, including fan media, including the likes of us, why would you want anyone saying there's a conspiracy against Liverpool? Now, I know other fans will laugh at that and things like that, but the likes of Paul Tierney, who's obviously had beef with Klopp, is on the VAR at the weekend. Alongside him is the fella who's lashing an elbow at Andy Robertson. So if I'm a red going, why haven't them two fellas turned over what is clearly not a red? Why haven't they turned it over? They must have beef against Liverpool is going to come to mind, isn't it? So if you're Webb, surely you want that to stop. You want referees to be seen in a positive light. My lad said to me over the weekend, he came to the match with me and he said, my mum asked me, did I want to be a referee? And I said, oh, right, what did you say to that? And he said, I said, bollocks to that. I don't want to be a referee. Look at all the shit they get. Yeah. And so is Webb not doing the same thing? Because I think the way they do this, like, Webb did this big interview, didn't he? He went on Sky and all that kind of stuff. He went on a bit of a propaganda campaign, if you like. And I've got some of the quotes from it here. He says, from the very start of this project around the world, I was involved in the implementation in the US. The phrase maximum benefit, minimum interference was coined and it still applies. Put this corporate nonsense in the bin and just go, how can we do it so football fans enjoy football, referees don't get stick, and we all reach the right decision? He goes on, we want this tool not to re-referee the game, but to be there to identify those clear situations that are unjust, that need an intervention. If we move the scale further towards clear and obvious threshold, then we can gain more consistency and you can all get behind what VAR is there to do. Not re-referee the game, but capture really big, clear situations that are wrong. Here is a really big, clear situation that was wrong. Liverpool had to play for half an hour with 10 men. And okay, they got through it. And, the stuff I mentioned before got them through it. But why? And also, the 3-match ban. What's that like? I think I've seen Phil Blundell tweeting before. 8%, I think he said, of Premier League games that he could potentially miss because of an error. Now, that's a really big, clear situation that's wrong. You've punished Liverpool for half an hour, made it less likely that they're going to win the game. And then potentially, if Liverpool had gone, do you know what? It's not worth appealing. You could have lost a key player for 3 games. I think surely this gets overturned, but surely change the way you're doing this, because it's shit.
Yeah, but you've got to think the league started in 2 weeks. So we had the United one last week with the keeper. Yeah, I think there's got to be a point when you're Howard Webb, when you look at this, and Howard Webb's got a good reputation and he comes across well and all that. But I watched that interview with him and Carragher and Neville, and he says some things, and I see this a lot, where there's fundamental issues, like, aside from the VAR point, he was talking about the adding on time bit. And it was, I don't know which of Neville or Carragher asked the question, but they said, like, so what's the aim, basically? Like, is there a set number we're trying to get to? Joe, are we trying to get to 60 minutes ball in play? And his answer was, no, that isn't the point. We're just sort of doing it. And I'm sitting there going, but this is the problem, mate. You don't even know what you're trying to achieve. So you can't win. No one can win. Because someone said this to me once. It was a multimillionaire said to me once, many, many years ago. He said, Paul, if you haven't got a clear idea of what you're doing that constitutes winning, what's the point? And that applies to anything in life.
I think the added on time thing doesn't bother me so much. And I think it's been a bit of a fuss about Nottingham from pundits and players, because again, as someone who's paying a lot of money to go and watch for Premier League football on the regular, I have seen teams come to Anfield and time waste from kick one. I've seen, the goalie going from post to post, kicking the things and all that. And it's absolutely been a bugbear of mine for years, where I've gone, why don't you just go to him now, the first time he does it, and book him and go to him, lad, I will send you off. Don't think I won't. And then he won't do it.
Well, that's what Neville said to him, wasn't it? Just do that.
Yeah, just do that. But also, I think this the sort of cry-arsing about, now we're going to have to pay 100 minutes instead of blah, blah, and all that. Well, one, you got loads of subs in the Premier League anyway. But two, we don't want, as fans who go on the regular, we don't want this. Like all this 100, so just stop doing it, lads. There's your thing. Stop time wasting. And I think the crackdown on that seems to be having an effect already. I don't think it's as bad. Short sample size, I know, and small sample size. But I think that's sort of work. And I haven't really got a beef with that. The VAR, though, it was grim from the start, and they've still got problems with it now. And I know they're not going to roll back now. They're not going to scrap it. We're never going to see in the Premier League a situation where it's not reffed with the addition of VAR. But as we've just said, just bin off the rhetoric and just use it.
I think right from the start, there's been a problem with this, that like people talk about VAR as if it's a computer. It's not.
People.
It's just another ref. And that's why I'm talking about, it's just another ref with a better view. So why don't just treat it all as the same team like we do with the linesman? That's what I don't get about it. Like, forget referee and forget all of this. And this, again, ties into stuff we talk about on our TLC podcast. Like, speak to most people, and I reckon 80% of fans would agree that everyone's on board with forget the clear and obvious thing. Who came up with that?
I don't know.
Why is that? Why has that ever been a thing?
We've got a comment here, and this is the kind of thing again where you don't get it when you know it. You're in the ground now, and we're used to VAR as a thing. We know it's there. We know it's available to. Slow Mo 1980 in the comment says, when a goal kick's given, but it's a corner, that's taken them no time at all to say to the ref in his ear, it's a corner that.
Yeah.
So forget clear and obvious and go for right.
Just ref the game. Yeah. Just ref the
because
game
surely
properly.
that is the whole point. And, Vase of Flowers, some bad names here. 40 minutes with 10 men was punishment enough. Yeah, quite. Loads of nice comments, by the way. Thank you for all of those. People saying, they're glad to see us back on and things like that, and talking about the Reds. We're glad to be back doing so as well. Joel Rabinovitz, I am mate. He says, hiya fellas, hope you're both doing well. Interested to hear your thoughts on the transfer window so far, and what you think still needs doing pre-deadline. Another midfielder and a defender essential, he says, ? What do you reckon? What's your thoughts on that? Obviously, we got Endo in. We saw 28 minutes of him at the weekend.
Worries me. Loved his signing, to be honest. But it loved and hated it in equal measure, right? So loved it because we seem to have this idea now that we all know all the players, and we don't. But what annoys me about that signing is Klopp knew him, and everyone in football knows him. He's captain of Japan, for fuck's sake.
So Stuttgart.
He's not some secret to people in the game. I've never heard of him or watched him. But then you see his stats and you see how people talk about him. You're like,
I bought into all that.
He's a good lad, isn't he? Why haven't we been looking at him in the past then if we've had a gap in the squad and we've needed a midfielder? And then even I can see people going, yeah, but we didn't need him when we had Milner and Henderson because he's that type of role. Yeah, but if we've got him on a list, we've got other lads like him on a list, haven't we? So Joe, last year when we desperately needed a midfielder, why didn't we just buy someone when we desperately needed a centre-back? I always reference the Akanji one for City. City bang on. Everyone bangs on about City and the money they spend and all of that. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we can talk about that for days on end. But at the end of the day, they got Akanji for 40 million quid. We could have bought Akanji for 40 million quid. And I heard someone at the weekend saying Dortmund fans would never have guessed that they'd have turned him into such a player. Klopp bangs on about coaching all the time. So why are we leaving ourselves exposed year after year? And like people can point the finger wherever they want. He's part of that process of saying we'll wait for someone. Why aren't we buying? Like I saw this morning, we're not going to buy another like special six. Why?
That's James Pearce, that isn't it, in his piece, and there's a bit of conjecture around, well, is that conjecture or is that based on what someone said? Is he just looking at it saying you don't spend that amount of money on someone and then he's a backup? But I mean, I would argue, well, why don't you? Because like we need a backup. Sam, there's some backup. There's a lad who's like another Milner who can come on, shore up games and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't want to start like judging him after 28 minutes, but I've got to judge him after 28 minutes because I'm sitting here doing a show. And I thought he looked like someone who might struggle with the physicality. He looked like someone who might struggle with the pace. And he said both of those things himself after the game.
You can judge one thing 100% for certain after one appearance. He hasn't got any pace. And we've seen this, right?
Yeah, you saw that.
We've seen after 2 games, Szoboszlai has got pace. Allister hasn't got pace. Endo hasn't got pace. That's a problem for you playing centre midfield for us. We saw it. I remember when Thiago first came in, and we're all dead excited for him to come in, and he's played the 6 for Munich, and he's controlled the games in Spain and all that. Comes in as a 6 in the Premier League, and people keep turning him round, and he's got to run towards our own goal. And he all of a sudden looked like a donkey running on sand. And you're like, we don't want him playing there. And that's the problem. Like, this is the thing. You can judge certain things. So I hope it is smoke and mirrors that, like,
I mean, we're being linked with midfielders, just not a specialist 6. Like, we have got it closes, doesn't it, the window a week on Friday, so we've got some time. Well, this is Anfield put out a poll saying what's more important to bring in this window, another midfielder or a centre-back.
What's your view on that?
Well, I voted, I'm looking at a big tick next to it right now, I voted for a centre-back because as much as I'd like us to get another centre, I feel like we're crying out a bit for someone with a left foot who can play centre-half, who, if you're going to stick to this system as well, can be like the way City play it instead of playing a left-back there, etc., etc., etc.
I mean, for me, I'd buy 2 more defenders and a midfielder. But that's being greedy.
It's not happening.
That's being greedy.
That's not happening.
But this is my thing, right? I don't care what anybody says, and me and you get accused of this, and we have been accused of it over the years, and it will happen again after me saying this. There is £110 million available to buy footballers. We know that for a fact because we put a bid of £110 million in for a footballer. We've spent about 16 million of that.
Yeah.
So we can afford to buy 2 more footballers. We can.
And everyone in the world knows it.
Yeah. But well, and look, that creates problems for you. And we've been linked with
Calvin Phillips.
I know. I mean, fucking hell. But we could get a centre mid. We can get another good 6 and another good centre back for that money, can't we?
Well, you'd think so. I mean, the vote as it actually has gone so far, there's still some time left on it. There's nearly 10,000 people voted so far on This Is Anfield's Twitter. Just at This Is Anfield, that is, if you want to go and vote. Another midfielder, 62.3% have gone for that. And a centre-back, 37.7%. Both is the answer.
Both is the answer, which is why I didn't vote. And there is a thing that I can tell.
It's your fault, that, Matt.
I can see, full matter. That I can sort of see most people don't want to say this out loud. I think we do this in footy sometimes because it's like you feel like if too many people say it out loud, it'll make it more true. There are question marks over Virgil van Dijk still. Like
I thought he was. I found, I don't want to go as far as to say annoying, because I didn't think he doesn't annoy me, but he's just very like languid at times. You know what I mean? Like,
and that was fine when he was at his very best.
I mean, I just don't get the way they started the game on Saturday. I just thought it stunk a little bit of like overconfidence almost, you know, like we're coming out, we're playing Bournemouth, we're at home, it's the first game of the season, what are they going to do? And then bang the balls in the back of the net twice. Thankfully, you know, one's offside. But, you know, Trent's at the scene of the crime for two of those moments early doors. And again, it just makes you think, why are we persevering with this system that doesn't really seem to be suiting the personnel, that has given the opposition something to sit there all week and go, we're targeting that, we're doing that. And, you know, the holes aren't filled. You know, you've just gone and bought someone that you didn't want originally, and now he's come in, and you know, it's horrible to throw him in, as Klopp said himself, and all that kind of stuff. Like, I just kind of, I'm just not sure how we've ended up here. Do you know what I mean? And even with, I'd go as far to say, and like, I'm sure people will accuse me of hindsight, but even with like letting Fabinho and Henderson go together when they did, is there not a conversation to have been had there where it's like, we'll do it on our terms, thanks very much? Do you know what I mean? So if we've got someone coming in and we know we're covered, you can go out. But if that's not the crack, you're going to have to wait until January. Like, we're not going to do ourselves in for the sake of this. And that sort of feels a little bit like what we've done. And, you know, there's badges that to come back. And I like him. I really like him. Yeah. I think he looked fantastic at times, but he's a teenage lad. And there was times he got found out. And one of those games was Real Madrid, I thought. Do you know what I mean? And that's absolutely not having a go at the lad for a second. But to say, well, we're using him, I just think, is that enough? Him and Endo? I'm not sure. And to have sort of no one else at the club who has that as their specialist position concerns me. And, you know, Kurt is going in there. I think he holds the ball well. I think he uses the ball well, but he's not physical enough, I don't think. There's no one who's like Fabinho where, you know, you saw it on Saturday. You're had by Bournemouth midfielders knocking Endo on his arse. Same with McAllister. And that's the Premier League for you, do you know what I mean? So, like, where's the Grok fella who sits in front of the midfielder and uses his physicality and is good in the air and senses the danger and puts out fires and all that? There's a big hole there. Well, there's an obvious big hole there.
The thing for me is, especially when they used to talk with like so highly of Fabinho and how important he was to the whole system. The lighthouse. Like, they literally,
the Dyson.
They had names for him because he was so important to the whole system. To allow him to leave, and of course we all saw him like fall off a cliff a little bit last year, and we weren't sure how he was going to come back and all the rest of it. To allow him and Henderson to leave and not have the ideal replacement sorted, and the whole thing. I mean, we probably don't need to add to that at this point, but like it was a shit show basically. Like, it was embarrassing the way it's done. And for me, whilst we're not, you know, we don't expect to be competing head to head with City this year, the reality is, if we bought that player, like when we thought we were going to buy Caicedo, all of a sudden I was like, there is a title challenge on then. And that shows how close we are. You buy, and this is where I am with it all.
As long as he doesn't, like, as long as he can play like he did yesterday.
I know, I saw it. I love that.
I mean,
like,
that was hilarious.
It was hilarious, wasn't it? Seeing him come on and do that. But whilst I don't necessarily like the, you know, player for player comparison with another team, because that's not necessarily how it works. But generally speaking, you've got to look at what City have got in that position. And Rodri is unbelievable. He's unbelievable. He's got everything you need to be an amazing number 6 in a side like City. And we can't expect to compete anywhere near what they do without someone similar. And that's what concerns me there.
Just going to have a little look at some of the comments. Jamie Moxon says Liverpool probably thought they could have got Lavia done, then took a swing at Caicedo. Yeah, we know that, and then they've massively. I mean, this is the thing with Endo. Like, I'm up for it. Do you know what I mean? And like you said before, I read the stat, and I thought I can see him being like a cult hero, and I don't mind him being a fella that we sort of break glass and bring him on. But when I read James's piece today, and it's sort of like, no, that's it. He's the man.
You're done.
He's starting regularly. He's 30 years old. He's not played in the Premier League before. He's a fairly slight lad. That concerns me. Cahill says as well, agreed, I'd like the club to get a move on, sign a specialist 6. The Jody 1981, I don't like the new system. It's like a Man City tribute act. Go back to 4-3-3 with the new lads in midfield. Brace says, some awful moments at the back this weekend, poor touches and bad passes. I saw that as well, mate. And, you know, okay, we've got there in the end, and, you know, you've got to balance the negativity and the positivity. We won and all the rest of it. But I think across the 2 games, this is my point really as well. Across the 2 games, there's too many times the opposition are getting in. I think against Chelsea, they created 5 big chances. Liverpool only had 1 shot on target in that game. Against Bournemouth have 3 big chances, you know, statistically big chances. And so that's a worry. You know, it quite easily could have been, it's 4 points, it could have been none. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I don't think that's being negative. I think that's being realistic about what we've seen so far.
This is another thing to say out loud again. And it is weird that you have to be careful saying stuff like this, but I want to be balanced about it. And I'll caveat it straight away by saying, he's a modern age legend of what he's done for our football club, and he's been unbelievable, and the job he's done has been phenomenal, off the chart with the money he's had to spend and all the rest of it. But there is a coaching issue at our club, and that comes down to the manager. I don't care about how much money you've got to spend and all the rest of it. We had a whole summer, like at the end of last season, if you just said to any Liverpool fan and anyone who'd watched Liverpool, what's the weakness in Liverpool? Everyone goes, you just drop a ball over the right side of centre half and expose where Trent is, and you're in. So you go, okay, well, coming into the summer, regardless of who you buy, ideally you need to buy some players to help sort that out. But one way or another, from a coaching perspective and a setup perspective, you need to solve that problem. We were playing teams in pre-season. There were no-mark teams who were just going, just try that thing that we did that people were doing against them last season. And they were getting in, and you're looking at it going, lads, there's a problem here. How hasn't it been sorted through coaching? And something that's concerning me about Klopp is there are some noises he's making which they're a bit Mourinho-esque in a blaming the players. Like, I'm telling them this and they're not doing it type noise. And I'm like, that always worries me, because I'm like, yeah, but it's your job to get it through to them. So where's this coming from? It says everything that, Joe, when I saw Trent picked up a knock at the end of the game, part of my system went, oh, good, because Joe Gomez can play right back against Newcastle then, and that'll actually may solidify us for a bit, because we don't need Trent in every game to be the game changer and the game maker. We need to be solid. I keep going on about this about Pep Guardiola, and it's like no one mentions it really. Pep Guardiola, after spending his career saying his dream was to play a team with 11 midfielders and all that, has come to the Premier League, and as he's been identifying things over the years, has gone, how do I do the treble? How do I win the Champions League? And what solution did he come to? Play 4 centre-backs. That's what he's done. 4 centre-backs.
But this seems to be like, this seems to be like detracting from the skills of, so like since we've been playing this system where Trent's stepping into midfield and all that, Robertson hasn't been as good. And it seems 100%. To be, and all of a sudden, like, he's still getting forward and he's still putting the crosses in and he's still being that 100-mile-an-hour man, but it looks like he's sort of tethered a bit more because he's worried about things coming back the other way. Yeah. And it's like, well, so that's had a negative impact. And like, people are saying it in the comments. I can see them there just sort of saying, like, would he not just change back and like, let's see how, like the normal 4-3-3 would work. I'm not sure that's going to happen. And
Joe, something we haven't talked about, and I haven't seen anyone talk about this, because football moves on so quickly. I think everyone's forgotten that this whole evolution of this football team started because when we were brilliant, right, and we won the league and the Champions League, we had a boring midfield 3. Yeah. Very workmanlike, very organised.
And we were consistently cold.
Everything.
Yeah.
We were cold-blooded killers. Yeah. But we realised that's what we needed to win the league. That's what everyone realises over time. You need to win the league.
Kevin Keegan's Newcastle.
That's exactly it. We decided, everyone went, we need to be more flamboyant in midfield. So we went more flamboyant in midfield. Guess what? Fucking open all the time now. It's like, part of me goes, just go back to the original plan. I understand why we tried to change it, right? Because people had started to figure out how to nullify us and we didn't have enough creativity on the pitch. I get that. But if you went back to the original plan now, when everyone's used to us being leaky as fuck, maybe that'd be fine.
I know. I mean, more important than all of that, Ian Gallagher in the comments asks how I'm sorted for Barry's tea bags. Always open to some being sent it over, to be honest, Ian. We've got a very small box at this podcast studios that worries me.
What are you down to now?
I mean, I just put one in a cup in there, and it was a very small box. I don't know where Jacob's got that from, but you know, he didn't spend a lot of money on it. So if Ian, if you want to get some over to the studio, do feel free.
I think you just can all work on the basis Robbo's answer to Barry's tea is always yes.
Always yes, yeah. I mean, just on Klopp as well, you know, I don't want to volley Jurgen Klopp. He is the man who's brought the good times back to Liverpool.
Can I just say me neither, by the way, before I start getting abused on a...
But, you know, he's brought the good times back to Liverpool. We all love him. We love how he's fought our corner, how he's been prime ministerial and all that kind of stuff at times. He's got Liverpool, he's got Scousers, all of those things. But it caused a debate at the weekend, and I thought we should acknowledge it before we go, that, you know, he did... The Jurgen Klopp song got sang at Anfield, and he's caught on the international broadcast saying, "Can you stop singing that shit?"
Do you know what? I've got to say though, when I read this story and then I heard it was actually on audio, it made me, when I read it, I was like, I don't like it. When I heard the audio, it made me laugh.
But he's actually
funny. He's like, because bear in mind, we talk about being middle-aged and moaning a lot on like our shows and stuff. Like, it's a proper old man thing to do, isn't it? I mean, shouting at a crowd.
Stu Wright said
He's shouting at a crowd.
Stu Wright said this to me. He said, like, I said, you know, I put it in, like, you know, one of the WhatsApp groups I'm in or whatever, and he said, you know, like, man shouts at cloud type thing. And he was like, you know, so what? But I mean, equally, you've got to acknowledge the fact that, like, lots of people online were saying, you know, he doesn't get to dictate to us what we sing. And I just think it's a bit of a weird hill to die on. Not that he's going to die on it. He's Jurgen Klopp and he's our manager and we love him. But if you go back to sort of April, he explained why he didn't like his song being sang. And that was when Liverpool were playing Tottenham. We let a 3-0 lead slip, and then he ended up winning 4-3. He said, if you want to sing it after the game, sing it in a bar, wherever, because it's almost like we're closing the game, we're 3-0 up, and then they start singing, "I'm so glad Jurgen is a Red," and I thought it's not over. So it'd be really nice if you could leave that for later. And, you know, and then the piece goes on to say that's why I was furious on Saturday. And there were 16 minutes to play when this song broke out. But that's just a massive overthink from Jurgen.
100%.
Like, you go through, like, I'm on the Kop, and what tends to happen when you're singing songs on the Kop is everyone naturally moves through like a bit of a repertoire. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a songbook,
and obviously, like, if someone does something brilliant on the pitch, then, you know, you might sing for him.
Yeah.
But, like, having a song as part of the repertoire that recognises that Jurgen Klopp won us the league isn't us in the crowd going, "Think this is done now, you know, Jurgen." And equally, the players who were absolutely focused on the task ahead. And I said before, we're brilliant, I thought, actually, at closing the game out on the whole with 10 men. They didn't lack. They're not there looking up at us on the Kop. "Oh, they're singing the Jurgen."
Oh, it's
well,
done.
they think it's done.
Take me foot off the pedal.
Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's a huge overthink from Jurgen. And, like, okay, he probably doesn't know he's going to get caught on a microphone. He doesn't know that it's going to blow up in the media. But it has done. It has caused the debate. And I don't know, like, I kind of wonder, could you not just say, Jurgen, I've got that one wrong. I was just in the passion of the game. Of course, I want the supporters to get behind the club. And you know what? Do it any way that you see fit. But then loads of people are saying, well, if Jurgen's asked us to do it, though, we should, you know, and all that.
Fuck that.
I just think he's got this one wrong.
I think he's got it wrong. And I have said this in the past over the years, even, you know, at his very best in the peak of all this. He has done and said certain things over the years that if Roy Hodgson had said them, we'd have been on his back.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
100%.
And he's got away with it because he's Jurgen Klopp, and that's fine. I think in life, you know, you build up credit and you get away with some cock-ups every now and then. This one, to me, it's when you stop and think about it, it's actually a bit egotistical. It's like, no, he thinks his song is a sign that it's like a victory celebration. No. It's not, mate. And he did something else last year that I've mentioned before, but I'll mention it again. And I feel like just having a sit down with him, a few of us would sit down and go, Jurgen, there's a few things you don't need to like get worried about, you know. In press conferences, when he's like, someone asks him a question and he's like, oh, if I give an answer now, you're going to take that and you're going to use it as a headline. You're like, Yes, mate. I just want a journalist to go to him. Yes, mate. That's this game. That's what we're here to do.
And then punters to go to him. And you know what? We all give up a long time ago listening to headlines. We know it's a game. We know it's a joke. We know we're on the end of clickbait. We still love you, mate. Yeah, just answer the questions and it's sound.
It's okay. Just calm down.
But then there's a bigger thing. There's another show to be had with that about what managers and players feel they have to say when there's a camera and a microphone in front of them, and the fact that they feel they have to put their hands over their mouths when they walk off the pitch and all that. It's just all bollocks, and we know it is as fans, and it's all right. I just seen Mo on there, Mo Stewart. No idea how Robbo made it half an hour without mentioning tea. Well, you know me so well, mate. Listen, we're leaving it there, aren't we? Because we're only doing 35 minutes this time around. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you've enjoyed watching. Come back next Monday and watch it all over again. There will be another Liverpool-related show from us on this very outlet later on this week. So tune in to see what that's all about. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to let you think what that could be. And we're going to leave it there. We hope you've enjoyed it. Let us know what you think. Keep on commenting away in the comment box. Send us a tweet, all of those things. And also, if there are other Reds that you think would enjoy this style of show, go and tell them to tune in next Monday, live at 5. That's been the first one. So thanks to you for watching. Thanks to everyone in the studio here. And yeah, we'll be back. We'll try and have a laugh with it. And I'll try and not have an heart attack. But Liverpool